Here we are, back together again. It's Tuesday, Talk Live, everyone. It's Chef Todd Mohr. We've got a true or false to play today. This is something that's been asked of me a lot lately. People tell me that I put oil in my water or I put salt in my water. So today's true or false is when you're making pasta that the salted water will boil more quickly than unsalted water. This is the true or false. We'll get back to it at the end. Is this statement true or is this statement false? That salted water will make the water boil more quickly. That's what we want to talk about today. One of the things that I examine so often, because I hear from so many people, I started to say before, my story, are we still getting echo? Better, I got it better. My story is just like your story. My story is the story of a frustrated home cook who really wanted to be a better cook, but had no idea what I was doing. Like, I had a few practiced things. Let me give you an example of what I was thinking. I like smooth jazz very often, and there's an artist named Basia. Basia is a Polish woman who has the most beautiful voice, beautiful melodious voice, but she's Polish. But she became one of the top English singing smooth jazz singer. Was your phone playing into the mic? Probably. Let's see if I can get even better. Let's leave this alone. You can hear me good now. So Basia, the point of the story is Basia didn't speak English. She memorized things phonetically. So she knew she wanted to release these songs to an American audience, an English audience, a UK audience, and sorry, more people speak English than Americans. So she didn't know what the words were saying at all. She had memorized it phonetically. And this is one of the things where I came from. Early on in my cooking, I had memorized things phonetically. I didn't really understand what the words said. I didn't understand what the words said. I just knew step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, and I would hope at the very end that it would come out and it would come out right. Often it didn't. So my story is of my frustration of wanting to figure out the hows and whys of cooking, so much so that I gave up my entire life to go to culinary school. This is 20-something years ago, and here I sit today. So it worked out really well for me. I'm really proud of that. But, I've realized that there are really 3 types of cooks out there. And actually, I think there are 5 types of cooks, but the 3 that we're going to cover on today is a little bit of where our journey went. Now, I'm going to leave you with some thought process today of which type of cook are you? Which of these cooks are you? Because next week, we're going to talk about how you can get from one level to the other. So see if you see yourself in any of this. The first type of cook is a person that is using recipes. They're using written instructions to cook, and that's okay. When you're starting out, think about it. If you wanted to construct something, build something, we're going to talk about this in a minute. If you want to put some IKEA furniture together, you really just need the written instructions because you're only putting that one piece of furniture together, and you don't have to know how to build IKEA furniture. That's fine. The instructions are good. So if you're the first type of cook, you're following instructions because sometimes they work for you. Maybe your parents cooked that way. You're just following what your parents did and what you were taught. If you're the first type of cook, you love the food TV shows. Excuse me, you follow a lot of food websites. You're really excited about watching what other people do, but very often when you go try and do those things, it doesn't quite come out the same, right? You get really excited about seeing the great food and cooking, but you get frustrated that you can't do the exact same thing. You get frustrated that just seems so far away to you. And let me assure you, if you're hearing yourself in any of this, the first thing I can tell you is it's not very far away. Like, I was the same way. I thought, oh my goodness, I will never do this. So much so that I quit my job to figure it out. I didn't really need to do that. Now that I realize that I didn't, and it's not that far away. If you're a first type of cook, you're a lot more likely to use convenience foods. You do takeout more often. You do restaurants more often. And here's the rub about being this first type of cook. You actually spend more on food than any other type of cook. You spend all kinds of money on food because of this lack of confidence, uncertainty, and of course the takeout and the convenience food. Excuse me. The main emotions that you're feeling, if you're this type of cook, you're bored. You feel a little stuck. You feel a little stagnant maybe and slightly confused, and this is frustrating. So if you're that first type of cook, you have this strong desire to be the second type of cook. And that's what I wanted to do. In the second type of cook, you want to know, right? You have a genuine interest in cooking, but you know you've got some skill gaps. I mean, you so badly want to do what you see on TV, but you can't quite figure it out just by watching them. If you're this second type of cook, you know, maybe you've figured out a way to make most recipes work for you, but you know there's something more, okay? Maybe you have mastered the rote, the phonetic approach to cooking. You're like Basha, you know? You don't know what the words mean necessarily, but you know how to repeat them. So you got some recipes that work out great, and you look like a great cook because you can do those recipes. But when you want to do more stuff, when you want to make up your own cooking, that's the rub on this part, on this second type of cook. I mean, if you're the second type of cook, you create great food for your family, no doubt about it. But sometimes you're surprised that it came out so good, right? Is this you? Do you find yourself when people going, oh, this is delicious, this is great, you go, whoo, that one worked out, you know? It's that uncertainty that really defines this second type of cook. And here you have a small variety of meals. You got the ones that you do really good because you can depend on them. You've done them a bunch of time. The second type of cook, you are a lot more likely to subscribe to one of those food delivery services, the Green Apron or whatever it is, because you find prep a chore. This type of cook kind of likes the cooking but hates the prepping. And this, again, this is from 20 years of talking to home cooks. Now, the good thing is this second type of cook, you actually spend less money than the first type of cook because you buy the food and you cook it. You've cut down on takeout food. You've cut down on convenience food. You don't buy the more expensive microwavable trays. So you're actually saving money on food by becoming a better cook. Now, the third type of cook that we talk about, and these are the people that I'm trying to get to this point. If you want to know how to go from second to third, there are some skills that you need. And this is exactly what we're going to hone in on. Hone. Knife joke, hone in on, I didn't even mean it. But next week, this is what we're going to focus in on. So if you want to become the third type of cook, how do you jump from 1 to 2? How do you jump from 2 to 3? Because the third type is a lot more confident in how to cook. They're not good with recipes. They're confident in how to cook. And this is when you start venturing out on your own, right? This is when you start to develop your own cooking style. Because now you've got the confidence to create, not just cook. Like, it's not, I'm going to follow these instructions and I hope it works out really well. It's, I'm heading out in a journey on my own. I'm getting in a boat. I'm raising the sails. It's going to blow me out to water somewhere. But at the end, I'm going to come to a great destination. The other type of cook needs the map, right? Needs the roadmap. So this person is throwing away the maps, is throwing away the recipes. You find this third type of cook, cooking is fun. Cooking is rewarding. Cooking is very proud. It's a sense of pride for you. Providing for your family and friends. This is where the wheels really start turning, and now it's no longer a chore. There's no longer the restrictions of written recipes. It's a joyous occasion, and this third type of cook, you spend the least on food because you cook better than most of the restaurants you know. You cook better than most of the places you could go to. Plus, you're the wisest grocery shopper. You're the one that buys only what you'll cook and cooks all of what you bought, so you save money. And plus, you can buy better ingredients because of your great cooking and still save money. So did you find yourself in any of these three types of cooks? The reason I wanted to introduce you to this today is because I want to give you a week to think about it. I want, as you're cooking this week, I want you to examine where you're confident. You say, man, I nailed that. Man, I'm so good at that. But I also want you to examine and try and figure out where those skill gaps are. Boy, I wish that sauce was creamier. Or I wish I knew of a spice combination. Or I really wish I knew what flavors went together. I really wish that chicken breast had a better caramelization on it. I wish it wasn't so dry. I wish. So this week, put a little notepad in your kitchen or something, or write it on your, not directly on your refrigerator. Don't write on your refrigerator with crayons. Put a piece of paper there first and then write on the refrigerator, maybe with magnets if you want. Magnets are optional. You don't have the magnets. You could use Scotch tape. It doesn't, oh, I'm off on a tangent again. Make notes this week. Make a what I do well list and what I could do better list. And then next Tuesday Talk Live, when we're together, I'm going to show you how to jump that line in between. When you say what I do really well, that's going to identify you as which type of cook you are. What could I do better? Where is there improvement? That's going to show you what kind of cook you want to be. That black line in between, we're going to erase that. That's my job. My job is to erase that black line, okay, in between the two and get you to the type of cook you're going to be. So next Tuesday Talk Live, that's when we're going to talk about jumping levels of cooking. So identify yourself this week as you cook. Cook more thoughtfully. What do I wish could have happened? What am I really, really proud of? The next thing I wanted to talk about is, should you build it, fix it, or repeat? Where's the greater skill here? In life and in cooking, would you rather be the builder or would you rather be the fixer? Would you rather be the architect, the guy that designs or the woman that designs the item, or would you rather be the person that follows up behind and fixes all the mistakes? It's another thought for you to go through this week because you know, I'll give you the answer that I believe because I've seen adult cooks in my cooking school. I've seen tomorrow's professionals in culinary school. And I can tell you where people become most proud of their cooking, where people get a tremendous ear-to-ear smile about their cooking, is not that they made up something new necessarily. The greatest pride is when you fixed something gone bad. Stick with me for a minute with another story, right? Now, I told you about Basia. Basia can't speak English. She's Polish, but she sings beautiful English because she's memorized it phonetically. Then I mentioned IKEA furniture. Well, Ingvar, oh, I'm sorry, long Swedish name, gentleman that just died, the creator of IKEA, he realized that furniture was not in the building of the furniture. Really, the profit of furniture was in the shipping of the furniture. So if you could collapse all your furniture into flat boxes and have the person put it together when it got there, then you would save so much money on shipping that you would be able to sell this cheaper furniture. It obviously revolutionized the furniture industry. Anyone that has ever bought something from IKEA knows how that goes, and you're familiar with those stupid little camshafts and the things that you turn, right? So Ingvar designed all this stuff, or he had his designers do it, but Ingvar's done at that point. Do you think he intimately knows if something goes wrong with that furniture, how it should be fixed or what it should be done? No, this is going to take a whole panel of people to figure that out. But if you're a furniture repairman, if you're a guy that goes around, and even if you've never seen an IKEA furniture before, if you're a repairman, if you're the person that knows the hows and whys, that's what I'm trying to get to. If you know the hows and whys, I think you're more empowered than the person that designed it in the first place, because then you can fix things that go wrong. And this is the pride in cooking, in my opinion. I hear it from my culinary students all the time. It's not that it went from A to Z perfectly and there was never a mistake and I was a brilliant cook from the very first day that I stepped up to a stove. This just doesn't happen. Nobody is a cooking savant. From childhood, they've never made a mistake. They never burn something. So if it's not in building it, because you're not perfect from the beginning, it must certainly be in fixing it. And fixing it is what you figure out along the way. Fixing it is how you learn as you go. Fixing it is where you create your own cooking style or your own furniture repair style or whatever it might be. So it is definitely much better, in my opinion, to be the fixer than the builder, and see how you can apply that to your cooking. The builder is the person that wrote the recipe. The fixer is the person that takes that and then turns it into the thing that they really want. Our Carefree Cooks community is doing a lot of slow cooking this week. Seems to be a lot of smoking, a lot of braising, a lot of slow roasting, a lot of pit smoking going on, and people are getting their hands on big old hunks of meat. Don Traub is at it again. He's throwing meat in there. Oh, sorry about that. That's our true or false excuse me, we've got some rotisserie cooking going over charcoal coals. This takes a long time as well. And here's one of the things that I think I talked about last week, right? We talked about direct conductive heat, indirect convective heat. Here's something today that is a decision for this rotisserie ham, I think, or pork going on here. Right now, it's single source heat, right? There's no lid. If there was a lid, you wouldn't be able to take the picture. It would just be a picture of a barbecue. So this is single source heat, and it's going to create one result. This goes back, go back to last week's Tuesday Talk Live if you want to see the difference between direct conductive heat and indirect convective heat. But if we were to put a lid on this, or if we were to cover it in tin foil, we're going to trap a little bit more of those juices. It's going to be a little bit more moist. So my point in bringing up all this slow cooking going on this week, and that's how Don's pork wound up in trays and trays of pulled pork. My point here is patience. You know, if you want to tenderize a large, tough piece of meat, you can't saute it. You can't grill it. You're going to have to be patient with one of these long, low, and slow cooking processes. And what you wind up with is something that looks like that. It might take 5, 6, 7 hours, but man, oh man, is it worth it. So this week also, don't worry as much about your saute or your grilling or your broiling, all those quick methods that we talked about last week. Let's start to put the focus on the slower methods, the low and slow. How about the stews and the chilies that you make in the winter? It's not winter for us here. Sorry, Aussies, it is for you. So start making your stews and chilies. But for us, the summer means this outdoor pit roasting, the outdoor smoking, braising indoors. Start thinking about your lower, slower cooking methods that enable you to tenderize tougher cuts of meat. What's going on? All right. Start thinking about your lower. Let's see. I got my phone here since I don't have my whole setup. Bob says sometimes I'm just too lazy to cook. Yeah, I hear you, but I meant to turn the volume down. I hear you, Bob. You know what? And I do that too. I go through that a lot. Like, oh, I just don't feel like it. But you know what happens? I get an idea in my head usually, and then my craving won't stop me. Like, oh, I don't feel like cooking. Oh man, chicken wings would be good. And then my desire for wings way overcomes my desire not to cook. And that's what happens to me. Let me scroll back to the top of the comments here. Wow. Wow. Hey, Joseph Burke is here, his first one since he normally works. Yeah, echoey, we got rid of that. I'm still looking through all the comments, and you can hear what I think what I did was put my phone next to my computer. No good. It's always something, huh, isn't it? Oh, I mentioned at the beginning, and maybe I'll see if I can film this tonight. You guys, maybe you should stick around. Stay by your phone and your Facebook today, because I'm going to be making fresh fried clams today, the clams that I dug up myself yesterday. We might have to go live again today. Let me see. Ann is here. Welcome. Jerry, chef is the best. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Karen wants to be 3, but she's a 2 right now. That's great. Everybody's identifying themselves as the type of cook. I'm going to add 2 more types next week, and then I'm going to show you how to jump that line. So definitely. Jerry keeps a thick journal. That's a really good idea. When I was in culinary school, I started my own cookbook. Every time I invented a new dish, I would write it down, and I wound up with 4 200-page composition cookbooks. The funny thing was, you know how many of them I've made twice? None. I never made any of them twice because I'm constantly making something new. There we go. Get rid of that. Slow is for winter, Jerry says. That's good. Yeah, Guy, I'm going to be making fried clams. Can't wait to see. Making some grilled clams. That's really cool. Let me see if I can find... Whoops. No, I still need that. Let's close that out. Let me see. I'm sorry to be delaying, but since I have to work with a phone and a computer, I have to make sure that I'm getting all the questions, and it looks like I don't see any more. If I missed yours, I'm really sorry that I did. Let's go back to the true or false. So salted water will boil more quickly than fresh water. That's the true or false. And the answer to this, is kind of true, but mostly false. Can I make an F? F false? I'll practice that. Mostly false. Look, adding salt to your pasta water, it is said lowers the boiling point of the water. The truth of the matter is you would have to add about a half a pound of salt to change that 1 degree. Your 1 teaspoon of salt in the water does not change the boiling point of that water whatsoever. You would have to add about half a container of salt to change it. You would have to get water from the Dead Sea to make your pasta for that to make any difference whatsoever. While I'm on the topic, stop pouring olive oil into your water to make pasta as well. The myth that somehow the olive oil sticks to the pasta while it's cooking so it doesn't stick together, everybody knows, everybody in the world knows, oil and water don't mix, right? We hear this. This is like a trite phrase. Oil and water don't mix. So why would you think when you pour olive oil onto water that is simmering the pasta and then you pour the water down the drain that somehow the oil sticks to the pasta? It goes right down the drain. And I'll tell you who really wants you to pour oil on your pasta and then pour it down the drain is your plumber. He definitely wants you to do that because in a short amount of time, he'll be called to come unclog your drain. So the best way to make pasta is unsalted water. It doesn't really make that difference of a difference in taste either. People say, oh, you know, it makes it taste better. If you really want salted pasta, cook your pasta, then sprinkle salt on it. If you really want olive oil to keep it from sticking together, cook your pasta, pour olive oil on it. But I'll tell you the way the commercial kitchens do it and the way that I do it in my own home, and this will help you with timing of your meal as well. That I cook my pasta to kind of an al dente, and the only way to do it is take a piece out, rinse it under cold water so you don't burn your lip, and then bite it and taste it. That's how you tell whether your pasta is ready or not. So I'll cook the pasta al dente, strain it, and then shock it. Put it in cold water, stop the cooking immediately. Save that hot water, put it back, finish all the rest of my meal, the chicken parmesan or whatever else I'm doing, and then put the pasta, re-shock it in hot water to refresh it, drain it, toss it with the sauce, and send it out. That's how a commercial kitchen does it, and that's how I've adopted it in my own home because I don't want my chicken breast to get cold while I'm waiting for the pasta to cook. You know what I'm saying? Yes, everybody's going to talk to me about rinsing the starch off and whether to rinse the starch off or not. Maybe that'll be our true or false next week, okay? Hey, thank you, everyone, for being together with me again today on Tuesday Talk Live. I will either bring you in for the fried clams tonight or I'll post a nice photo in our Carefree Cooks community of what they came out to. Have a great time cooking. This is your homework assignment. I want you to think what level of cook you are and how you might be able to get to the next point. What do you do well? What could you do differently? And next week we're going to diagnose all that. I'm going to show you how to jump that line down the middle of the paper. But for now, Chef Todd Mohr telling you once again, you know, there's a method to your cooking success. Bye, everyone.